welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Happy New Year, everybody.
Boom, boom.
Joining me today, you know him, you love him. It's Esfandiar Baraheni.
What up? Hello.
Does no one else say your last name like that, Baraheni?
I don't know. I've never been in a position where someone. Yeah. I haven't been in a position. If I had someone that like introduced me like a play-by-play announcer, like you just did, maybe I'd be in that position. But no. Appreciate it, Cathryn. As always.
Listen, we should audition together for the Toronto Tempo.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be awesome.
That would be incredible.
Oh my God.
You'd have to really reel me in.
Yeah, no, but can you imagine like the amount of like tempo jokes that could be made there,
Sure.
Oh man, there's so much. It's like, the cheesy stuff that you could hear a play-by-play announcer do,
Yeah, like musical puns.
Yeah.
Oh God.
To the rhythm, to the beats. Yeah, it's just stupid stuff like that, But
inevitable.
I'm excited. How are you feeling about the tempo a month after the fact? It's been a month, right?
Yeah, I don't mind the name. Yeah. But I didn't like the I didn't like the logo, and I'm not like huge on the colors personally.
Fair.
I don't think the colors look bad. To me, like the word tempo to me screams something like just brighter, more vibrant.
Yeah. I really wish they leaned into like the Caravana colorway.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it is in summer, like WNBA basketball is in summer.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of Toronto summers.
Yeah.
And like tempo, dancing, all that type of stuff.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yes.
It just felt like it was right there for them.
Yes.
But because
I think this is what I was thinking, but you're like kind of narrowing in on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you though. Yeah, like more colorful, more vibrant, probably match the vibe of the city. They went with like the winterish colors, with the ice and the.
Yeah, they're kind of wintry. They're a bit preppy. Like they look very like high school, university type color, especially that maroon. Like that maroon always reminds me of like a high school
like
or a
graduation.
University.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I just feel like the word tempo to me, especially for something that's sports related, it's like you got to do something like vibrant, maybe a couple neon colors, and then balance it with a bit of black and gray.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like give it some balance, but have that there, and then it's like, yeah. And I just feel like the logo too, like it looks a lot like the Pacers, or people made like those New Balance comparisons, which I agree with. So, but I do feel like, like the Raptors logo has evolved. Like you can't, like the name stays, but it's like the look of the team has evolved over the years. And I think like, this is like the initial tempo stuff, but it could evolve too. And it's funny too, because like it was leaked, right? Like the name was leaked, and then they just were like, okay, here it is. And I'm like, you didn't have to do that. Like,
no, you could have took your time with it.
They still could. It's like, okay, yeah, that's the name, but they could have still taken their time. And maybe use some of the fan feedback just on the name to help influence what the look would have been. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, we'll see. We got a year and a bit left until we got actual hoops, which should be fun.
I know. I can't wait. Juju Watkins praying.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get Juju Watkins.
Probably not, because with the draft and stuff like that, they slot the expansion.
Oh yeah, they slot the expansion teams 5th.
Yeah, that's disrespectful. So stupid. So
I agree. Dumb. You're not really setting people up.
I think that also should apply for the NBA. It's like, bro, when the Raptors got expanded, they were like, they won the first overall pick in the year it would have been Allen Iverson. But because they were an expansion team, they got slotted 5th. And it was like, bro, what are we doing here? You know how much cooler it would have been?
That's a year later, isn't it? Or a year earlier?
I can't remember exactly what it was, but
But yeah, that's how we ended up with Damon Stoudemire.
Yes.
I don't remember who was first in that draft.
I can't remember who it was either, but I don't know. Maybe it was AI. I can't remember.
First draft.
Was it
pick 95?
Yeah, 95.
I'm talking about the
Joe
NBA.
Smith. It
No?
was Joe Smith. So never
Oh.
mind. It wasn't Allen Iverson. But I remember something about Allen Iverson
We
where they
got
didn't want.
Allen Iverson was number 1, and then we got the 2nd pick in that draft, so maybe you're right about the politics about that,
Yeah. I don't
and
know.
then guess who we picked number 2? This is a fact I always remember. It was Marcus Camby.
Marcus Camby. Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
year where we could have had Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, like
Yeah.
so many other
I
people.
know. I know.
Can
I
you
know.
believe Sharif Abdul-Rahim was in that draft even?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a lot. Ray Allen.
Right. Yeah.
So many
Stacked class. Yeah,
incredible.
that's for
It's
sure.
like one of the greatest draft classes ever.
Yeah.
And we ended up with Marcus Camby. God bless.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild. But anyways, I don't think that should be like if you're expanding into a new franchise, you would want them to have the new exciting player. I know it's probably unfair to your other bad teams that are in the league, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Anyways,
Just make it a part of the lottery.
Yeah.
Is what I think. Just make it part of just have it be the thing.
Be the thing. Yeah, for sure.
Be the thing. Kathy, I'm here. Kathy Engelbert, Commissioner, WNBA.
Yeah.
I'm here. I got ideas. I always say that. I'm always like, Kathy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some NBA stuff. A lot has happened, actually. A lot has happened. The NBA kept busy over these last 2 weeks, even though the rest of us have been taking our time off, or at least I hope most of us have been taking some time off, some much needed time off. Let's start off with the fact that a lot of drama has happened in Sacramento, out of all places. So Coach Mike Brown got fired after being like coach of the year in what was it, 2022?
Yeah, 2022, 2023.
Yeah, like it's winning coach of the year has almost become a curse in this decade. Like it's been absolutely wild how many coaches of the year have gotten fired. But in any case, it was on a whim. He had practice that day and he was in his car going to the airport for whatever their road game was, and he got a call in the car saying like, you're fired. And what's his name, coach from the Denver Nuggets, Mike, he's a different Mike
from the Denver Nuggets, Michael
Malone. Thank you so much. Sorry, I was getting my mics mixed up.
All good.
Mike Malone spoke out about it. He basically said the franchise is extremely disorganized and unprofessional, and that he knows from being there prior. I guess he was an assistant there years ago. Steve Kerr spoke out about it as well, said like this was ridiculous. And also people have alluded to the fact that their owner, Vivek, is very moody and will make really big decisions on a whim, and that everyone who works there feels like they're one mood swing away from losing their job, which is pretty awful. That's a pretty terrible work environment, I have to say. But now there's all of these De'Aaron Fox trade rumors amid this chaos. And, I want to know what you think, because I feel like this is a really confusing situation to me, because if you're going to fire the coach, why would you then trade De'Aaron Fox? Yeah. Right? Why? Like the whole point of firing the coach is to make De'Aaron Fox happy, not to trade him. So I'm really confused by that dynamic. But at the same time, if De'Aaron Fox does become available, that could change a lot. That could be one of the biggest momentum shifts in the league in a long time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I should say, just to add, Michael Malone used to be the Kings head coach, like I think 4 or 5 years ago.
He was their head coach.
He was their head coach. He got fired, and that's how he got the Nuggets job, because he got fired and everybody was like, how dare you fire Michael Malone? It's your only successful seasons with DeMarcus Cousins. He's the first guy who finally got DeMarcus Cousins under I guess tamed him.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they fired Michael Malone, and he ended up going in and getting that job with the Nuggets, and we know the rest is history. With the Mike Brown stuff and the Fox stuff, I think it's like two different things. People are saying, well, Fox is the reason that Mike Brown got fired, just because post-game press conferences and Mike Brown was kind of calling out Fox for some of the lackadaisical defensive effort and whatnot, bad execution. I don't know if that's necessarily the same thing as Fox wanting to leave, because that was something that was bubbling even before Mike Brown. Fox kind of declined the contract extension that he had with the Kings. There's a chance that he won't extend with them in the summer. And so whenever a star like that is in position to say, hey, I might be looking elsewhere and I don't want to re-sign with the team, then it only is natural for the team to want to try to look elsewhere and see if they could trade him. I think firing Mike Brown probably gives them a little bit more time with Fox. Probably gives them a couple more months to kind of patch things over and work out a future together, quote unquote. But at the same time, I kind of agree with you that like, and I'm not sourced up here, but like, based on things that I've heard about the Kings organization, yeah, there is a little bit of chaos there, and there is like that wildness of dysfunction, if you will, from a front office perspective, from like a coaching staff perspective, from a hiring perspective, everywhere. And that's something that's kind of rings true throughout. And so I think it is like the beginning of the end for Fox, and it tends to be that way when you fire a coach. Like if you want to go back to the Michael Malone situation, they fired Michael Malone, and I think like maybe a year later they traded DeMarcus Cousins, because it eventually ended up being like they couldn't build around DeMarcus, and they traded him, I believe, to the Pelicans for Buddy Hield, and then that started the whole Fox and Buddy Hield era. This feels similar to me, where you're just delaying the inevitable by firing the coach, giving yourself a little bit more of a window. I guarantee you they'll do some irrational win now type of trade at the trade deadline to try to appease that and build and try to get into the play-in. But it's all kind of futile. Like it's just like a ridiculous, thing. I think it's just kind of writings on the wall with this team. And they're probably headed in the wrong direction, but we'll see. Maybe they turn things around. Maybe Doug Christie, former Raptor, turns thing around for this team. Who knows?
Last night there was a game that I just sort of like put on just because it was like one of the only West Coast games on, and I just felt like having something on. And it was the Kings and the 76ers. And I was like, oh my God, this is the DeMar Kyle matchup now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I forgot. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, this is the Kyle DeMar game now. And then you've got Nick Nurse there, and then you've got Doug Christie there. And I'm like, oh, there's just so much like Raptors history,
yeah.
Weirdness that I wasn't even anticipating.
Pretty sure Jeff Doughton's on the Sixers too, so you got that aspect. You got Jay Triano on the Kings bench. You got
that's right, and Christie got the job over him.
Yes,
apparently, Jay Triano was the lead assistant, and then they were like, "No, it's Doug Christie."
Yeah, I know.
Poor Jay Triano.
Well, they've seen Jay Triano coach before. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
He hasn't had a head coaching job in a minute.
Yeah, it was the Raptors' job. That was the last time.
Was that the only head coaching job he's had? Why did I think oh, you know what? I thought he was a head coach in Portland, but he was an assistant in Portland.
Yeah, he was an assistant for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been That's like 15 years of being
he's a great coach. I joke, but he's a good coach. Like I
don't think there was any, I mean, we weren't winning when he was here, but
but the team sucked.
Issues without that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a whole. You know what? That's actually part of the conversation here with the Fox and Mike Brown stuff. It wasn't Mike Brown's fault that like this team sucked and this team is not as good as it needs to be in a really, really good Western Conference. Like a coach can only do so much to enhance the players and what they have on the court. Like you can't make what is that saying? You can't make whatever out of whatever. I can't remember what it is. You can't chicken shit out of chicken salad out of chicken shit, something like that. I swear there's a saying like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. YouTube comments, let me know.
Everyone listening is like screaming the saying at us, and we're not.
Yeah, I know. Okay, but like you can't, I'm gonna just go with it. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit, and ultimately, that's what happens when it comes to coaching. Like they're held to these incredible standards, and if the team does well, it's on the players. If a team does poorly, it's on the coach. It's not on the roster construction. It's not on how bad the team is built. And, DeMar DeRozan out there with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, and how does that fit work and defensively and all that type of stuff. And is Domantas Sabonis as good of a player, et cetera, et cetera. Like it's not on that stuff. It gets blamed on the coach. And you see that with your Toronto Raptors too, by the way, because people People always bring up Darko. Darko's not a good enough
Yeah,
coach.
we're gonna get into this.
Darko doesn't have the juice. Darko doesn't have the team currently to win. But anyways, that's the.
We will get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like I completely agree with you, and I think it like Mike Brown calling out De'Aaron Fox for his lack of defense is a good thing.
Yeah, sure.
How is he going to become, elite or get
Mhm.
to that next level without defense? Like, I don't understand how that's
Yeah.
supposed to happen. And I just feel like it's a shame for the Sacramento Kings team to fall apart so quickly. It feels like we've only had this iteration of the team for a couple of years, this
Yeah.
whole light the beam era. It was like finally, after almost 20 years
Mhm.
of not being in the playoffs, of being, essentially irrelevant, they finally get it together and have a playoff worthy team, and you're just going to throw it away so fast. And
Yeah.
it makes me feel for the fan base there. And granted, yes, the DeMar DeRozan trade has seemed, or signing, sorry, he was a free
Mhm.
agent, right? Yeah, doesn't seem like it was the best signing at the end of the day. But DeMar DeRozan is not a bad vibes person.
No.
Right? Like, if anything, he's a good vibes person. It's just you have too much of a similar type of player, like you just
Yeah.
said, with like De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. So there's just too much overlap there. But then it's like he could be a trade asset.
Mhm.
Like I just feel like this situation didn't need to blow up the way it has. And it's really unfortunate if this ends up being like the height of this era of the Kings.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, like think about 17 years without the playoffs,
Right.
and not having any real chance of getting to the playoffs either. Think about how that worked for the Toronto Raptors for a little bit. It wasn't 17 years, but it was a while, it was
Without the playoffs?
yeah, it was 06, 07 to 2013, 2014. So it was like about 7, 8 years without the
Yeah, it's a long
playoffs.
time.
And so actually no, I lied. They made it in 08, 09 too. But
Chris Bosh's last season, I think we were a first round playoff team.
yeah, they played Orlando and lost in that playoff series. That was 08,
I don't need.
09.
It might have been a blowout. Was it a blowout? Like, was it like
Yeah,
a
I think
a sweep? I should say. Sorry.
it was like 4-1, I'm pretty sure. I
Yeah.
think so. And then yeah, Bosch decided to leave the year after, which was
Mm-hmm.
tough. But
He was like,
um
"Deuces, Toronto."
yeah, and remember he said on Twitter, he was like, "Where should I go? Where do you guys think I should go?" That was something that happened. That was something real that happened in Raptors history. Chris Bosh asked Twitter what team he should join. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a really funny way to talk about coaching and how that impacts professional basketball. Like, yes, there's a real, Nick Nurse was a great head coach in terms of like tactician, making plays,
Mm-hmm.
drawing things up schematically, but like it got to the point where he lost the locker room and guys weren't really listening to what he was even saying, and guys weren't buying into what he was even trying to do. And so at that point, yeah, like you need to get a new coach. Maybe that's what happened in Sacramento. Maybe, Mike Brown's words were falling on deaf ears, but I don't think that's the case here. I think that was, to your point, like a rash decision from the ownership group there.
Yeah, and even if De'Aaron Fox, like, let's say De'Aaron Fox went to ownership and was like, "I want you to fire this guy."
Mm-hmm.
Is De'Aaron Fox the level of player that should have that kind of pull?
It's crazy.
You know?
It's fair to ask that, but every team has that level of player that has that pull.
I mean, I guess,
I've
but to
learned
me,
I've learned
it's
this
like,
recently. Like it's
because
actually
to
it would
me,
surprise you.
Sabonis is the best player on that team.
Right.
It
Well,
isn't De'Aaron Fox.
yeah. Well, honestly, actually, funny enough, Sam Amick from The Athletic on the podcast that I host, the Athletic Daily, he actually said like Sabonis and Mike Brown clashed a lot. So
Oh,
maybe it was more Sabonis than Fox or anything, or maybe when ownership went and said like, "Hey, we're thinking of firing Mike Brown," no one was like objecting. No one was saying like, "No, you shouldn't do that." Everybody was like, "All right,
right.
I guess that's a vibe."
Interesting. Yeah, and maybe that is it. Maybe that's part of the sort of untold story here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sabonis is the best player on that team. If De'Aaron Fox becomes available, right?
Sure.
Like let's go down the rabbit hole of if he becomes available.
Okay.
I think I personally would like to see the Golden State Warriors make a move for him
Would be fun.
because
Yeah.
they are a play-in team at best
Mhm.
right now. And hindsight's 2020. I wasn't saying this a year ago, but I think they've held on to a lot of their young talent for too long.
Yeah.
And they should have traded up when they had the opportunity because it seems like guys like Kuminga and stuff have peaked.
Mhm.
Right? I like people have been talking a lot about Brandon Podziemski having an off, a sophomore slump and stuff. He hasn't hit his ceiling yet. I
Yeah.
don't think. Like, players have sophomore slumps. Let it happen. I would still believe in his upside in the grand scheme of things.
Mhm.
But Kuminga has probably, this is who he is.
Right.
And again, only in hindsight, they should have traded up when they had the chance. But with that being said, I feel like the time for them is now.
I like the Warriors. I think they're probably. I mean, they would love to get in on the De'Aaron Fox
Like,
conversation.
I don't think he's necessarily on the trading block, but I'm saying, like, give an offer they can't refuse.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I do agree that the Warriors kept on held on to their stuff more because I think they need like a Lowry. They had an opportunity to trade for Lauri Markkanen, they didn't, and like that's
Yeah.
the type of guy that they should have went after.
Yes.
And they should have been comfortable trading their young guys to get them because none of those young guys are going to get the peak that Markkanen has. Same
Yeah.
thing with Fox. I agree. Fox is a really good player, and like when you have the possibility of trading for that type of guy, you got to go and do it. I do think they would get outbid, though. I think there are teams out there that would
Mhm.
probably give up more to get
And
De'Aaron
why
Fox.
would Sacramento try to help Golden State win?
Exactly. Yeah. There's like no way, especially because Vivek Ranadiyev, I believe, the owner of the Sacramento Kings, he used to be a partial owner of the Golden State Warriors, and he left because he wanted to own his own team, wasn't able to buy the
Oh,
Warriors. So
I didn't know that
there's
history.
a little bit of tea with your buckets here. And so, yeah, so like that makes it so that it's really hard for those two teams to trade with one another.
Oh,
And I mean, look, like I think there's some young teams out there that would be interesting. I think San Antonio would be a lot of
yeah,
fun.
everyone's talking about San
Would
Antonio.
be fun with Wemby. That'd be a cool combination. Houston is another team where it's like they desperately need anybody better than Jalen Green, and Fox is definitely better than Jalen Green. Miami, because him and Bam are really, really close friends and they're buddies, and that would be like the perfect transition
The
between
Jimmy
Jimmy.
Butler for
No,
De'Aaron Fox trade?
maybe there's something like Jimmy goes to Golden
Oh!
State, Fox goes to Miami, and then stuff goes to Sacramento, like Kuminga and all that type of stuff.
Stuff.
And yes, just like everything just stuff goes to Sacramento. And yeah, they get, just that's the deal.
You know what that reminds me of? It's like, sometimes certain podcasters, I think Zach Lowe used to say this, like, like we shouldn't be referring to players as like pieces
Right.
and
Yeah.
things like that. And now we're like, you know what? Let's just refer to them as
stuff. Yeah. Like literal stuffing. No, I'm kidding. But
No, I know what you mean though. Like players plus picks
yeah,
is kind of
yeah,
what you're saying. Yeah.
that like melange of stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have no idea what the exact trade would be, but like something like that.
Yeah.
I have heard people say like, "Hey, should the Raptors go after De'Aaron Fox?" I don't hate the idea, although I think they would get thoroughly outbid by some of these other teams that I mentioned. Like I don't think they have the capability to really entice the Kings with like a package of Immanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett and like picks. I don't think that's enough compared to Miami or what, not even Miami. Miami might not be the right team, but like Warriors, Houston, San Antonio, these teams probably are willing to give up more and probably have a little bit more to give as well. I wouldn't include Grady Dick in any sort of trade for De'Aaron Fox. I wouldn't include, I don't think I would. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's a rebuilding year.
And you're very early
I
into the process. Yeah.
will save my thoughts on that.
Cool.
But yeah, there was okay. The only thing I was going to say about Golden State getting themselves in on this is they had a game. Was it New Year's Day against the Cavs? and it was a blowout loss.
Yeah, they got destroyed. Yeah.
And Steph only had like 11 points, I think, that game. And it was like one of the saddest.
He hasn't been great. He has not been
It
great.
was one of the saddest games. But the thing is with Steph is like that man's shoulders just have to be tired. He's been carrying this team alone for a while.
Yeah, that's
true. And he needs some offensive help, because if he isn't scoring 30, it's not like they lose by 30. And it's just,
no, yeah, you're right.
come on.
Yeah, he definitely needs help.
Something
he's at the point where he needs a lot of help, and like the Warriors just don't have that help. They're so far behind with Kuminga trying to become the number 2 guy, and like they've got a couple
Wiggins
injuries.
has improved, but he isn't who he was in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just, damn.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Seems like
it was sad as hell. It was, anyway. Talking about another legend. Let's move on. I want to talk about LeBron James.
Yeah.
Because he turned 40. He joined the 40 club. Welcome, LeBron. I've only been here for a minute, but welcome.
Nice. Hell yeah.
And we're the same age, which makes me hopeful. Not that I'm remotely athletic. He says he could play for another 5 to 7 years. Do you believe him? And do you think we will see LeBron suiting up for the Lakers or some other team? Who knows? If he plays for 5 to 7 years, who knows what could happen? But do you see it?
I could see him ending his career on a different team. That wouldn't surprise me. 5 to 7 years, though, that would be crazy, and that would be baffling, and I don't think that would happen. It's kind of like the thing where it's like, guys will hang around and be like, hey, like I could probably eat like 2 pizzas, but should you eat 2 pizzas? Should you really down 2 large pizzas?
This is how we relate to LeBron James. This is the only thing we could possibly compare
athletically.
ourselves
Exactly. To. Athletically, could you really eat 2 large pizzas? No. Can you? Yes. Should you? No. And so LeBron probably knows, like, hey, I could probably do 5 to 7 more years, but can I? Should I?
There's a world where he's just saying that so people stop asking him if it's his last year.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that. I think that could be part of it.
I think next year is the last year.
Really?
I think next year is the last year. I don't think it would be tough for him to do this all again for longer. I just he's
broken all the records.
He's broken all the records,
and he's not on a team where he's going to win another championship. So what is he chasing? He's played with his son now.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, he wants to play with Bryce too. Like, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if Bryce can make it to the league is one thing. But like,
I mean, look, these kids are like, I'll never be as rich as these kids. But a part of me does feel bad for them, even though I absolutely shouldn't. Like, I'd probably trade places. But like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, like remember like Michael Jordan in his Hall of Fame speech was like, man, my kids have had to like look up to me, and that's so hard for them.
That is such a ridiculous thing.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said.
Yeah, but can you imagine being as pompous as to say that? That's crazy. Holy.
Yeah,
but
I don't think it's easy being, like being especially a son of one of these guys.
No, that's fair.
It's probably not easy being a daughter either. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. They just end up marrying other basketball players. And I always think that's very Freudian. But he's 40 now. You think next year could be his last year. I feel like LeBron, I do sense a stubbornness and a determination from him.
Yeah.
That feels very real to me. But at the same time, I remember like people were having this conversation about Kobe for a while. Like, how long can he go and be this elite? Because he was elite for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And then the Achilles injury happened. Yeah. And then he wasn't the same again.
Yeah.
Right. And he signed that big deal. So he kind of had to still play. But that last season, he was like on one leg.
Yeah.
Except for the game where he scored 60 but missed like half a shot. It was insane. Like he took he had such a poor shooting percentage. He took so many shots, but he still ended up with like 60 something points in the win. And it was a glorious way to go out. But I could see, like, God forbid, I'd hate for something like that to happen to LeBron, but I could see this, like, he hasn't had that big injury.
Yeah. I think he's already slowed down, to be honest with you. I think
Sure, yeah.
he like does not, and it's crazy to say that cuz he's 40 years old, and so like playing professional basketball at that age is wild in itself.
Mhm.
But I think that, like, no, there has been a slowdown. And so that's why the Lakers actually probably should make a trade, because he's at that weird point where it's like you need to find another star for Anthony Davis to eventually be paired alongside. And also, you could probably give LeBron an
De'Aaron
extra chance
Fox.
here. Yeah, maybe De'Aaron Fox. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah. Austin
Could you
Reeves, you're a Sacramento
imagine
King.
they traded LeBron James
For De'Aaron Fox. Yeah, no, that'd be crazy. LeBron plays his final
or
year in
Jimmy
Sacramento.
Butler or oh my God.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Do you think the Warriors should do that trade? Let's get LeBron and Steph on the same team.
Yeah,
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I've seen that like done. I could see it being like, hey, this is gonna be LeBron and Steph's final year. They're both gonna retire, and Draymond's gonna retire with them after this year, and we're all gonna have this bye-bye reunion party type of thing, and it's all gonna be in Golden State. And like they do it for the year, but like you're not trading for that. The Warriors aren't going to go ahead and cough up like Jonathan Kuminga to do 1 year of a LeBron tour, although it would make them a lot of money. But
They should though, because look, like this era will come to an end, and it's going to be dark in Golden State for a long time.
Yeah.
When it does, right? Like it's just, this is what's going to happen. It's going to come to an end.
Yeah.
All of these, Silicon Valley billionaires who have never once cared about basketball, they're just there for appearances, are not going to renew their season tickets, and things are going to get dark, and you're going to have to start over. So why not cash in now while you can?
I don't hate it. Fine.
And you're actually giving them a chance to win a ring.
Right.
And it's all fabulous. And at least the fan base can't say you didn't try in the last years of Steph's career.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm here for it.
I don't hate it.
Look, NBA, I'm a writer. Hire me.
Yeah. The script is out.
I will write these scripts.
Yeah.
I will be the NBA ghostwriter, and then talk about how I'm the ghostwriter on this podcast. But I can be that ghostwriter. Okay, S, I have zero thoughts on this D'Angelo Russell trade. Like, I kind of don't care. He got traded to Brooklyn for Dorian Finney-Smith and stuff. People are like, oh, this is really good trade for the Lakers. This is the only trade they can do. They have like no flexibility.
They have some flexibility. They've got
everything's on the margins though.
They have 3 first-round picks that they can trade. So like that's enough to get you in the conversation for some stuff.
But don't they start like at 2027 or something?
Yeah, they absolutely do. Which is why it's good, because it's post LeBron. So those picks are like really valuable. And so they do have some stuff to trade if they want to. Do they want to get involved? I think is the question of like, do they believe in LeBron and AD as a championship core at their ages? And do they think they have enough outside of those guys to go out and trade for something else? I actually really think that they should continue making trades and upgrading this team to give themselves a chance, because this is probably the final year that LeBron has a shot. Not the final year that Anthony Davis has a shot, but like the final year you have a shot with this group. And, things just kind of have to fall right for you to be in the conversation there. Why not? Give yourself a shot.
I don't know if you've seen enough Lakers games this year, but how do you feel about JJ Redick as a coach?
He's good. He's a good coach.
He started off good, and then things got rocky for a while there.
Yeah,
mean,
it's because the
they're
teams just
7th, I think, in the West.
yeah,
Yeah, they're 7th right now in the West, which
right.
is, I think, more or less how people predicted them to be.
Yeah, they're 7th, but they're only 1 game out of 4th, so, like,
Oh god.
right, the West is just, like, kind of
The West
muddied
is
like that.
insane.
It is crazy. It is really, really wild. So, like, I think they're a pretty good team, and they're really good compared to, like, the rest of the league because the West is just really good.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, I think JJ Redick's a fine coach. I don't know if that's like the make or break for what this season could be, but the roster is not as good as it needs to be a championship team. Like, you have LeBron, you have AD, Austin Reeves is competing. They just need more guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, to be honest with you. They need like Cam Johnson. They need, if they really
They
wanted
need the
to.
depth, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree. From the Brooklyn Nets perspective, I assume they're just going into the lottery. They're not trying to be good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
D'Angelo Russell is back. You saw those memes
Fun
about
little
him
story, right? Yeah,
going back to the teams he's already played for.
yeah, yeah. Fun
Um,
story. It's a fun story.
is
Maybe
it
he'll
a
go to
fun
Minnesota.
story?
Whatever, they need to sell tickets. They need to sell tickets. Like, Brooklyn has to sell tickets some way. I've been to a Nets game before, and it can get empty there pretty quickly because people aren't that interested in going to Brooklyn Nets
Wow.
games. So yeah, you need a way to sell tickets. D'Angelo Russell probably gets some butts in seats.
Maybe they should have stayed in New Jersey.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe people would have just cared more. I don't know. I don't
I
remember why they moved.
they moved because I think they needed a new arena or something, and that was the
Was
case
that
with it.
why? Mm.
Yeah,
All right. Anyway, I think it's time for our Raptors homer moment.
let's do it.
So last night, speaking of the Nets, the Raptors won against the Brooklyn Nets in what I would consider a much needed win.
Hmm.
After losing a few games in like really awful fashion. It was poor, little to no defense. That blowout with the Celtics. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the game
Yeah.
because I looked at the score at one point and was like, "Oh, I'm not tuning into
Hmm.
this." Um, it was bad, and I think a lot of fans have become very, like, discontent, which I have thoughts about because I think those same fans were the ones calling for a rebuild in the first place, and it's like, "Well, this is what a rebuild looks like,
Right.
everyone."
Yeah.
Everyone that was like, "Blow up the team, start over, blah, blah, blah." Maybe that's not you. Like, maybe you're listening and you're like, "I never thought that."
Right.
Cool. But this is what a rebuild looks like. You have days like this. And to me, this is all part of the process. That's why I
Hmm.
keep saying enjoy the process. Because even though some of those games are just borderline unwatchable, and it's like I could be doing better things with my time
No, you could be. You absolutely
than
could be. Yeah.
watching the Raptors lose against the Celtics by like 40 or 50 points. It was 50 something points, wasn't it?
Yeah, 54, I think.
50. Good Lord.
Yeah.
So, do your chores while that's on. But
Hmm.
at the same time, it's like these are the growing pains of a rebuilding team.
Yeah.
But we have Immanuel Quickly back. He looked great. Do you think this team is gonna start turning things around?
In the win column, no. They
But
have
in the try hard column,
yeah, I think they will. In the try hard column, I
in the
would give them
try
a thumbs up.
hard fake fourth quarter comeback column,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You remember, like, there was a stretch there where it was just RJ and Grady, and like they were playing the Kings. They beat the Kings on Vince Carter night.
yeah,
They played the
yeah,
Lakers, had that crazy comeback. They played the Nuggets twice and had some crazy games and all that type of
yes,
stuff. Like,
yeah,
they were competitive. It was fun to watch, right? I think we'll get back to that. I think with Quickly back and RJ eventually coming back and, guys just being healthy, the team being healthy, they'll be in good conversations for like just being a competitive team. Will they win? I don't think so, because like their next month is Orlando, Milwaukee, New York, Cleveland, Detroit, Golden State, Boston, Milwaukee, Orlando, Atlanta twice.
oof.
that's a really tough schedule. So like after that, it
And
actually gets even
Detroit
harder.
isn't one of those like, oh, that's a winnable game anymore.
Yeah,
Like, not
Detroit is no
anymore.
longer that. No,
Finally,
no,
congrats,
yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah, totally.
God.
And so they have a tough schedule ahead of them too. So I don't know if they will be getting more wins in the actual win column, but I think they will get wins in the vibes column, which is better than losing 11 in a row and it being
Mm.
terrible. You know, if you're losing like 4 in a row, you get a win. Losing 5 in a row, get a win. That type of stuff is more bearable, knowing that like the process is bad, at least for fans. You know, yeah.
Speaking of Detroit, really quickly, did you see Jaden Ivey and that
Yeah.
injury? So, if you don't know, Jaden Ivey had to be carried off the court in a stretcher
Yeah.
from an apparent leg injury. I don't have an update on it, but
It
like,
was a broken fibula, I believe. Yeah. So like
oh,
he
okay.
he basically broke his leg. Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's at least a year, I would imagine.
I would imagine that is a year. Yeah. So he'll probably be out for until the middle of next season, probably.
Yeah, really, really tough break, but it was like, I don't know if I'm just like hormonal or something, but I almost cried like watching it on social media. Like
Man, there were
I
some
was
players who
so
cried.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, on both teams, like just standing around in the solidarity. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was emotional watching it. But
Mhm.
anyway, hope Jaden Ivey gets
Yeah, I
better.
hope of
He's
course,
a
he's a
he's a
really
good
fun
player.
player. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even if he was the worst player
And
in
he
the league.
seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, and he seems like a nice guy, yeah. Yeah, it sucks when that type of stuff happens to players. I mean, these guys work for years and years and years of their lives just to get to this moment. He's still on his rookie contract, so,
Mm,
he's a good enough player and a high enough lottery pick where he's making good money and will likely still make money after this contract, but it is really scary to think of. You work all your life to get to this point, get to the NBA, and like having it taken away from you like that, scary, really, really scary stuff. So
yeah.
hope Jaden Ivey's good.
Yeah, definitely hope he's good. Back to Raptors stuff.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we can turn things around in terms of vibes, but again, this is a rebuilding year, and I think the organization seems committed to the rebuilding process. Like, Masai for a long time was hesitant to rebuild, was hesitant to call it rebuilding, was using terms like retooling and things like that. But
hmm
this year, I remember like the opening press conference, I feel
First word he said. Yeah.
was rebuild. Yeah, like this is a rebuilding season. So we're not making a trade for De'Aaron Fox or
Yeah.
anything like that. That's just not where this franchise sees itself going. Um, and also too, like, I have made my peace with that. Like,
hmm
I came into the season being like, we're rebuilding. We're going to lose a bunch of games. You want the vibes to be good. You hired Darko because he's a rebuilding good vibes coach,
Yeah.
right? Like with the whole like who gets the chain when we win and
Yeah.
things like that. And like he seems like he's really good at sticking up for the players, right? Like
hmm
even when he gets really angry, it's always because he's sticking up for the players. He's not angry at them,
Yeah. Yeah.
things like that. And I think, for all of those reasons, I feel like Darko is the right coach for this team. We'll see where we're at a year from now. If depending on who we draft or if there's any offseason moves, things like that, because you don't want to have multiple years like this year, but
hmm
having 1 year, maybe two max, where this is part of a rebuilding process and you're figuring things out is okay. That's all part of building a team.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, totally. I agree with you. Yeah, just be patient with the process. It's gonna take a while. On my recap show thingy, I showed a tweet or like a Reddit post that I saw or a friend sent to me from an Oklahoma City Thunder fan from like 4 years ago saying,
Mm.
SGA is not a star. We can't trust him. We can't build around SGA, all that type of stuff. And like, who is Mark Dagnall? And obviously those things have changed, right?
Yep.
I'm not saying that they're going to end up being the Oklahoma City Thunder, but like you need to trust and have patience in the process. And this is just the life cycle of an NBA team. You go through these lulls, you go through these highs. It's just part of it. And honestly, you'll actually be better off knowing that and enjoying the process of that because me and you know, we've been watching the Raptors for a long time. We probably look at those shitty years of bad records and, you know, the Sonny Weems and Jamario
Yes,
Moons of the
yeah.
world, and we look
Amir
back,
Johnson,
Amir
yeah.
Johnsons of the world, and we look back at that fondly. You know, we probably like, oh, you know, that was fun. They had a good vibe, yada yada yada, right? Like, you're probably gonna look back at this team similarly eventually. And I think you'll kind of appreciate the process more if you like really just soak it all in and, you know, live in the moment, folks. As they say, live in the moment.
Yeah. It's true. And SGA, that's so fun that you found that, because I do feel like he really snuck up on a lot of people.
He
And I
did, yeah.
think it's in part why he was traded in the first place,
Yeah.
right? Because again, like if the Clippers knew who he was going to become,
They wouldn't do that.
you never make that trade.
Yeah.
And I think most of the players on that team, except for Chet Holmgren, snuck up on people.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like is it Jalen Williams?
Yeah, Jalen.
Yeah. So many Jalens.
There
I'm
are
getting
a
my
lot of
mics mixed up. I'm getting my Jalens mixed up. Jalen
The
Williams,
world will
like,
just be
he's another
Jalen's and Jaden's eventually, you know?
My nephew is named Jaden.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to tell you this. My brother doesn't listen to this podcast. It's fine. So my brother's name is Jason.
Okay.
And he named his kid Jaden.
Right.
And literally, like, at the hospital, like, you know, I go to the hospital. I'm like ready to meet this baby, all of this, right? And he's talking to me by the elevator, and he's like, "How do you feel about the name Jaden Jason?" And I'm like, "It's
What do
the
you mean?
same name."
Wait,
Like,
his name is Jaden Jason? Or his
no,
name is Jaden?
his name is just Jaden, but
Okay.
he was gonna be Jaden Jason.
Oh, that's wild.
And I was like borderline yelling at my brother by the elevator of the hospital, being like, "You can't do that.
Yeah, that's
You
terrible.
can't do that. It's the same name."
Yeah, that's a bad name.
And he's like, "No, they're not. They're completely different names." And I'm like, "Are you out of your mind? They're the same name."
You're basically just one letter off, you know?
He's like, "He could go by JJ." And I'm like, "What
No.
is your obsession with the letter J?" Oh my God. Like, day one, I'm saving this kid's life.
Yeah,
My brother's a good dad. He just
shout out to Jason, man.
Shout out to Jason. He's very good otherwise. It was just
Yeah.
I think he was just in his
We all have
feels
our
with
bad
his
days.
son.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
wants his son to be an extension of him. I get it, but it's like he's his own person.
What if he was like, what if he did Jason Jr.? That's also JJ.
And that would make more sense. Because Jaden Jason sounds like he might as well be a junior, but you just didn't want to fully go there.
You didn't want to lean into
like
the
commit
junior,
or don't,
Yeah, lean into it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, all right, family. Love my family.
Love family. Shout out.
Post holidays, I'm like, oh, I love my family. Okay. Yes, I agree. I think we're gonna turn things around vibe wise. Okay. Hottie highlight time.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I sent you a couple very interesting, somewhat random. Usually I like to have some sort of a theme to the Hottie highlights, but 2 weeks went by. I'm sure I've missed a few. So let me know if I've missed any Hottie highlights that you wish I mentioned.
Yeah.
But here are the 3 that I sent you. So number 1 is the Golden State Warriors each got a personalized Taylor Swift style friendship bracelet for Christmas. Very nice. It's really cute. Like, they put it on their social media. It's really cute. I'm not even a Swiftie per se. I'm not against her. I'm just indifferent.
But it's cool. It's cool.
But it was really, it was cute. It was a really nice touch. And they had all the players react to these personalized, like, it was all like a nickname. Or if they didn't have a nickname, it would be like, "Oh, but you're a girl dad." And so it's like girl dad and then like the number on their jersey or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. Number 2 is we had a Gary Trent Jr. Kevin Garnett interaction. And it's actually a really funny video because Kevin Garnett is asked, Gary Trent Jr. is asked if he has a Kevin Garnett story. And then Kevin Garnett jumps in and he's like, "I got a Gary Trent Jr. story for you."
Yeah.
And he tells us 5 years old in the Minnesota locker room, he did 100 push-ups.
Nice.
And the only people who lost this bet were him and his dad. Everyone else bet the kid would do it.
Yeah.
Which is insane. 100 push-ups at 5.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Impressive.
Maybe that was my athletic peak, and I don't know. It was 5.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe we missed out on.
The third is, after this is a homer pick after the Raptors won. I think this video was made before last night, but
it was made in the summer. Yeah, it was made.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was made in the summer, but the Raptors used it to post like that we won. It's just them dancing in the locker room.
Right. Yeah. So I'm gonna quickly eliminate the Kevin Garnett, Gary Trent Jr. one. I was there. It was fabricated. It was made up. It was just because Kevin Garnett. It wasn't made up, but Kevin Garnett was doing media everywhere, and so he was doing his whole like media thing. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just eliminate it because it was just like
that up.
No. I'm sure it was a real story. I'm sure it was a real story. But I just the effort of him going around doing the media thing and all that type of stuff. Didn't like it. Crossing it out, eliminating it immediately.
Wait, hold on. I need more information. What do you mean?
So
what's
KG
the
was
media thing that he's doing?
So what you saw there was them doing NBA Cup Media Day. And I was there walking around, and Kevin Garnett was there walking around doing his thing. Yes. And so KG was just on his media tip. It was an disingenuine interaction. Wasn't real. Thought it was forced. Didn't love it. Okay. Yeah. Fugazi.
No, I believe you. You were there.
The Raptors win thing, would love to give it to them, but I actually think the bracelet stuff is cooler. It's fun. It's genuine. It's different. And there was a really cute one with Kyle Anderson who got, I believe, best like girl dad or something, and he got really excited for getting that. So, shout out to the Warriors for doing that, man.
Yeah, their reactions seemed more genuine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Kevin Garnett and Gary Trent Jr.
Well, I wasn't there,
No,
I wasn't in Vegas. Brag. No.
Wow.
You deserve to be in Vegas with all them boys. All them boys. Oh, look at us, media, Vegas. Not a single woman here. Paradise.
No, there was a lot of women. There was a lot of women in media at the Cup. Actually, I've pushed back on that.
Just none in any of the photos I saw.
Yeah, there was.
No.
Yes, there was. I'll put money down. There was absolutely a woman.
For the listeners, I am laughing.
No.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, I'm putting my foot down. There was a lot of women. There
were women there, and I could count them on one.
That's just not true. You're too much. This is not true. This is propaganda by the big media
what's more fake, my statements about the lack of women at the NBA covering the NBA Cup, or Kevin Garnett's interaction?
Your thing 100%. I saw with my own eyes. Lies. There were lies.
All right.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. More than you could count.
Absolutely more than I could count. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yes. We should get me. I went to Vegas once and I hated it.
I hate Las Vegas. It's
not a fun place.
No, it's not. And I don't recommend it for 6 days, which was how long I was there. It was so terrible.
Wait, was that for Summer League or?
No, it's for the NBA Cup. NBA Cup was 6 days because there was 3 days in between where the players weren't playing.
No.
Yeah, it sucked.
I don't like the NBA Cup in Vegas.
Why?
Because they're not a real fan base.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And I think and I'm granted most of the people there are tourists, but it's like you drop something.
I dropped my wedding ring.
This man drops his wedding ring after the Hottie HIghlight.
Got it.
Wow.
We're good. We're survived.
All right. You got it. At least it didn't fall down like a vent or something.
It's so close to the vent, you have no idea. That's why I kind of gasped for a second. I was like,
you got to cover that vent, man.
I don't expect the ring to fall off my finger every 5 minutes, you know?
But it just did.
That was because I was playing with it. I like playing with the ring. It's fun to like, you know.
Which is why you got to cover that vent, S.
The odds of that
I'm
happening.
saying this like I am your wife. I'm like, you got to do that. Like
cover that vent. It gets hot in here. You see this light? Yeah, it gets hot.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know anything about wedding rings. Anyway,
good.
Yes.
No, I'm
get me out. As I say that, I don't know anything about wedding rings. Anyways, take me to Vegas.
Take me to Vegas. Yeah.
Oh God, 6 days. 6 days of just like overpriced takeout food. I think would just get to me.
It's so expensive, and the Canadian dollar, as you know, is just
rough right now.
So it's like, brother, what are we doing here? Luckily, you know, thank you for the Athletic for hosting me there and not having me to. But dude, it was
like you had some money for meals at least.
Yeah, little per diem type of vibe. But dog, oh my goodness,
a little per diem, but like a slice of pizza is like $10.
Well, I really wanted to go. I'm a big soup dumpling guy. I love soup dumplings.
I love soup dumplings too.
Hell yeah. And I wanted to go. There's this famous soup dumpling place there called Din Tai Fung. And I wanted to go to that. And so my last day there, as I was waiting for my flight to get ready and all that stuff, I went and had Din Tai Fung. But it was like I had enough for one person. You know what I mean? I didn't go out and do like a group thing. But boy, was it still expensive. I paid $100.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
Was it for a bowl of soup?
No. I did get a soup though. I did get a little soup. I got the soup noodles. The soup dumplings. I got I think 10 soup dumplings. I got like a side, and all just the 3 things that I got ended up being $100. Las Vegas is a sham. It's a scam. Maybe off the strip.
Were they the best dumplings?
No, they weren't. No, they weren't the best.
Were they covered in gold flakes?
No, they weren't covered in gold flakes. Even the the little hot sauce that you put the chili oil that you put on the soup dumplings. Even that wasn't as good as I've had it here in Toronto. I was very disappointed. Sucked. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, it didn't suck, but it wasn't good.
Heart.
I know. It hurt me. It hurt me in the moment. I'm like, damn, I can't believe I'm going to have to pay for this meal.
It's like, even though like I am not of that culture, my heart hurts as if like my own ancestors are mad at me because I feel we just come from places where our ancestors would be mad at us for that.
Yeah. Damn.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just
I hear you. Yeah. Overpriced soup dumplings. It's
like,
crazy.
What is this? What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I did have some good meals there though. Had some bussin' pizza. Had really good.
You had
sushi.
some Boston pizza.
Bussin' pizza.
Thank
bussin'.
God.
Not Boston. No. Bussin'.
Did you have the beef Wellington?
No, but I did see a video recently teaching me how to make a beef Wellington. I might try to do that.
It's complicated.
It is complicated. Yeah. I mean, I watched Gordon Ramsay yell at people for like 4 seasons over this thing. It better be complicated, Better be hard to do.
They're professional chefs. Like, they have to know.
Apparently
it's like what they
though.
do. Okay, but if you took all the knowledge you have of basketball out of your brain and replaced it with cooking,
making food,
you would make a good beef Wellington.
Are we sure about that? But the way
the show is fake. All these people are fake actor losers. Okay.
You don't believe that.
They burn a risotto every episode. Who burns a risotto every day? Could you imagine just living your life burning risotto every day?
It's crazy.
I can't. It's all lies.
I feel like a beef Wellington is complicated enough to mess up though.
That's complicated, but when the person on whatever that first course is burning the risotto, I'm just like, this is fake.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, fair enough.
Never burned a risotto.
You know what? I'm gonna watch some Gordon Ramsay tonight. You got me in the mood. I'm gonna.
I love Gordon Ramsay.
Same. I really like.
I know. I'm like
a feminist. Out.
I'm a feminist. Blah blah blah, and I feel like people wouldn't expect me to say that, but I love Gordon Ramsay.
Why is?
And I think he's deep down he cares.
Is he sexist?
He has.
We don't need to get into this.
He has been.
Now,
yeah, there's a clip of him like at like a talk show interview with like Sofia Vergara, and he makes her very uncomfortable.
Oh, I didn't know that. No, damn.
It's fine. I forgive him.
Okay. All right.
Not that it's my place to forgive. We should end it there.
This is probably where we should end the podcast.
Shout out to Sofia Vergara. Come on the show anytime.
Modern
Talk
Family.
about whatever you want.
Goated. Yes.
Everyone, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. I appreciate you. Again, Happy New Year. Hope you're all safe and well. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.